been watching my videos too much.
What?
Here's how to get way more done in less time.
Here's how I trick my brain into feeling more motivated.
Take a clean sheet of paper and write down goals.
I'm going to show you guys the best productivity hack you need to know in less than 20 seconds.
Today we're looking at some productivity related TikToks to see what advice we can get. Oh my god. Using Notion as my second brain. This is really far from useful. I mean, I'm Shane. I've been teaching productivity skills for over 10 years now. I want to see what productivity TikTok is like. Personally, I don't use TikTok, so I really don't know what to expect. Oh, is there a part 2? What do we do with this? And I'm curious to see how creators are taking this kind of productivity and self-help advice and turning it into a TikTok-friendly format. I'm expecting some of it to be pretty disastrous, but I'm also expecting to see some interesting things. Let's just dive right in and see what TikTokers can tell us about becoming more productive.
Do these 5 habits every day for the next 30 days and watch what happens.
Okay. So that's quite interesting, right? That there's nothing wrong with it. It just goes by so quickly. You know, can you name the 5 habits still? So let's see. Okay, walk 30 minutes, drink 2 liters of water, go to bed and wake up at the same time. That is great advice. I think that is very good to establish a routine. I think here this is the TikTok format is a bit problematic, right? Because it doesn't give me anything for how to do this. So I would say that this isn't bad advice, but it's shallow advice.
Here's how to get way more done in less time. Step 1, protect yourself from any and all possible distractions. Doing deep work uninterrupted will be way more effective when you're in a flow state.
Mentions a flow state here. Being undistracted and uninterrupted is not going to put you in a flow state, right? That's not enough. It's not sufficient. But again, in the TikTok, there's no chance that this creator has any time to actually explain what they mean. So I don't know.
Step 2, time block. Sometimes we give ourselves way more time than we need to complete a task. Try allocating a set amount of time for what needs to get done. And step 3, though we may be tempted to do multiple things at once, single tasking will help you put all your energy and brain power into the task at hand.
Same thing, right? Yeah, you can see the time pressure that the creator is under here. Again, this is good advice. I doubt that it helps anyone actually implement, right? I'm just trying to imagine, does anyone come here, see this 30-second clip or however long it is, and then they change their habits based on this? The impression I get here is that the creator has good ideas, valid ideas, but is forced to press it into a format. It's a TikTok, right? It has to be snappy, and there's background music and there's lots of cuts and so on. It's not a great format to teach. I imagine they probably also don't do very well, right? Compared to, I don't know, people doing these dances or whatever. I bet that gets way more attention on the app. So I don't envy productivity TikTokers right now.
Here's how I trick my brain into feeling more motivated. Your brain wants to take the easy route, so if something seems hard, our natural response is just to avoid it. This might sound crazy, but you need to stop thinking of it as hard work. If you're able to convince yourself that what you're about to do is in fact easy, it won't seem like such a difficult thing to get started on. Here's how I
Okay, this started out really promising because it's true, right? When you procrastinate, when you avoid work, it's basically a fear response in most cases where we're trying to avoid some kind of a pain of doing hard work or something like that. And indeed, you can trick your brain, and I don't know if tricking your brain is the right way to say it, but you can get yourself to be less afraid of it. You can make the thing that you're afraid of or the thing you're procrastinating on less scary and get yourself to do it. I'm not sure that just telling yourself this is actually easy, I'm not sure if that works. I can't say I've ever tried, but it almost seems like the advice here is if you're avoiding something because it's hard, just tell yourself it's easy. And I'm not entirely sure that's going to work, but I mean, it's worth trying, right? It's so straightforward, you might as well try and see what happens. It's also like if you just watch the video in the background here, like the sheer insanity of it. So many cuts, right? You're trying to, even though you're saying something in like 2 sentences, you have to have 70 clips or something in the background. I think that tells us more about the attention span of people on TikTok than anything else.
We can go right, we can go left. Stay up all night in the argument. Nah, I'd rather have sex. Yeah, rather have. Yeah. If we're gonna flex, might as well flex. Work that.
What is this music? We probably can't even play this on YouTube, right? If we play this on YouTube, we just immediately get copyright. I don't know. This music clearly has nothing to do with the content.
Might as well flex. Work that till it all. We can go right, we can go left. Stay up all night in the argument.
Okay, you have 168 hours per week, 40 hours at work, 56 hours sleeping, ideally, 7 hours at the gym, 65 hours left. Okay, and so here it is. I almost missed this because of all the text and stuff on the screen. Stop wasting time and start doing. That's what we took away from this. I'm also seeing the title, and the song is called "I'd Rather Have Sex." So is that the message here? It's like, okay, even though we have little time and we should start doing things, I'd rather have sex. I mean, I can't blame you. This is really far from useful, I would say.
Working out for an hour is 4% of your day. Reading for 30 minutes is 2% of your day. Spending 45 minutes on something you love is 3% of your day. Meditating for 10 minutes is less than 1%.
So we're simply turning time into percentages of the day. Okay.
Taking a 10-minute walk is less than 1% of your day. Little things done consistently can lead to really big results.
This, I think, is really an example of, it's not just not useful, it really misses the point. Because I guess what it's trying to say is that, working out for an hour is only 4% of a day, doing this is only 1% of a day, and so on. But like, even by the time you get through all this, so if we sum it up, what are we at? It's like, this is 4%, that's 6%, that's 9%, that's 10, 11. So we're already at like 11% of the day, and we don't have the entire day, right? We also have to sleep, we have to eat, and so on and so forth. In a way, it's almost the opposite of what this TikTok is trying to say. Like, even little things pile up. You can run out of time. And exactly to think that every day you can do your meditation and your workout and do the thing you love and do the work and do this and do that and the other. This is actually where a lot of people end up struggling, right? Feeling like I ought to do all these things, I should do all these things, and I just can't fit them into my day. And you can also chop yourself up where you're doing a dozen little habits, but you're never doing the most important thing, and then you feel stuck in life. So in a way, I would actually give the opposite advice here. It's like, yes, you can do many things if you choose to, but the more little things you want to fit in, the more you have to have a system and a routine that makes sure you are not chopping your day up into too many tiny pieces. And also, you want to avoid being on that like habit treadmill. You don't want to feel like you're always in a rush to do all your good habits. What I think is useful advice here is to remember that you don't have to do everything every day. Sometimes it is very effective to say, okay, there are certain good habits I want to have, but there are things I can do once a week. There are things I can do every other week. There are things I can do once a month, where I can still maintain something like, okay, I'm going to make sure I get, some fresh air. But instead of feeling like I have to go for a walk every day, what if I go for a longer walk once a week? Or we can have a daily habit where maybe, every other day you spend an hour at the gym, and every other day you spend an hour doing your stretching, your yoga, your meditation, or whatever. Again, so that you don't feel like you're endlessly piling more and more habits into every day and end up giving up on that.
Take a clean sheet of paper and write down goals in today's date, and then write down 10 goals that you would like to accomplish in the next 12 months. And write them in the present tense, almost like you're submitting an order. And just write down, I earn, I achieve, I weigh. Take a clean sheet of...
This is the manifesting stuff, right? It goes in that direction. Talking about, okay, you have to write your goals in the present tense as if you've already achieved them. I recommend not doing that. In part because of Gabriele Oettingen's work. This kind of fantasizing about goal achievement is something that has been shown to reduce people's actual goal achievement. So that's not what we want. But also, I think this leads down a negative track. When you start thinking about, okay, you have to write about your goals and you have to think about them and write about them in the present tense, and you have to, the manifestation stuff has all these rules, and it can lead you down a pretty negative path where people become afraid of thinking negative thoughts, become afraid of even acknowledging, right? You have to, in the present tense, be, I achieve success, I am the greatest, I blah, 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 right? You feel like you have to do this in order to be able to succeed. And therefore, if you have thoughts that acknowledge the current reality, which is like, I'm broken, I'm frustrated, or something like that, you feel like, oh my God, I'm manifesting more of this, and it can send people down a negative spiral. So my advice for stuff like this, and it says setting goals here, but then it goes into like manifesting stuff. Really, your goal setting is ideally just about setting priorities and giving yourself clarity, and then you have a system. You pursue a system in order to achieve those goals. You don't spend your time stuck on step one, which is like, what are my goals, and imagining your goals and all this. So in general, I recommend avoiding this type of content and idea. I've simply seen it do more harm than good. Find an optimal working space, prepare a to-do list, set concrete goals. I can barely keep up here, right? Like, I have ADHD tendencies, right? So you'd think that this is right up my alley, but this is too much. I can't keep up with this. Wow. It's an interesting example. It seems to me that this is almost entirely about the aesthetic. I wouldn't call this productivity advice. Again, I just cannot imagine that someone watches this and it makes a difference for them.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys the best productivity hack you need to know in less than 20 seconds, and that is the Pomodoro technique. Developed by Francesco Cilillo in the late 1980s, the concept here is that...
So this person did a great job of explaining the Pomodoro method. I don't recommend the Pomodoro method, simply because the time spans are too short. It's very appealing because you only have to do 25 minutes of work, and then you get a 5-minute break and 25 minutes on and off again. It's easy, right? And it is like compatible with our eternally distracted minds. We like the idea of only have to do 25 minutes of work and then you go back to TikTok, presumably, right? The reason I don't recommend this is because if you actually want to get into deeply focused work, it will take 10, 15, 20 minutes to really get fully in the zone. And there have been several interesting studies on that done, where you can see basically what happens when you distract someone who's doing deeply focused work. And what you tend to see is that it can take people quite a long time to get like fully back in the zone, up to even 20 minutes to get fully back in the zone. So if that's the case, it's almost like just as you're about to really get into deep focus, you're taking a break and you're knocking yourself out of it. And then you have to try to get into it again. So this is an example of something that is maybe appealing and maybe feels productive, but a harder thing to do is to spend an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours at a time in deeply productive, focused work. It's much harder to do, much less appealing, but it's actually far more productive. Okay, make your bed first thing in the morning, hydrate and write your intentions for the day. Okay, morning ritual type stuff, right? Exercise for 25 minutes. Make a smoothie. Okay. 15 pages of a book. Oh, we're already... Okay. That's it. That's the loop. So this is like very, very short morning routine. Probably not bad. So the pattern I'm seeing here is that these creators make these clips that tell you all kinds of things about which there could be a lot to learn. There could be a lot to learn about how do you do, what do you put in your smoothie, how do you do your exercise, etc., etc. But we get none of that, right? We get none of the substance. The other thing I have to say is that as a productivity teacher, the primary issue that I work on with people is not about what to do, but how to actually get yourself to do it. Because it doesn't take a genius to figure out that you should probably set some goals and you should probably, do a single focus like we've seen here before, right? Do single tasking, work on your most important project or task, all this kind of stuff. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that maybe in the morning you should make your bed, do some exercise, hydrate, right? The problem is most people don't do it, can't get themselves to do it, procrastinate on important things. It's not that nobody has ever told them, hey, maybe you should do this, right? Maybe you should exercise in the morning. Maybe you should hydrate. Maybe you should work instead of being distracted all day. Most people aren't going like, oh, wow, I've never considered that, right? Most people can't get themselves to do the things that they already know how to do. So in my experience, in real life, becoming more productive is like 20% about learning things like how to do time management, what to do in which order, and 80% building the habits and learning how to actually get yourself to do the things that you intend to do. So far, I've seen very little help in these TikToks along those lines.